I love the fact that we took 5 offensive linemen. I mean, we got some dudes.
I love the size of them.
We got some dudes.
That dude from Hawaii that's 6'4", 315.
Preston Taumua.
He's going to get bigger, too.
He's 6'4", 317. On his high school team, he played center and guard. Like, he was listed as an interior offensive lineman playing center and guard at fucking 317. That's a big motherfucker.
That's fine.
That's awesome.
Make him the smallest lineman on the team. That's
If you like big motherfuckers, hit the like button and subscribe for us right now. We're breaking down the signs today. We took 27 dudes today.
The signs today, what are we, Michigan?
I didn't say we're stealing the signs today.
They have to break them down, too.
By the way, not to really hijack this, but did you hear that Alabama hired that linebacker coach that quit Michigan?
Oh, that got fired? Yeah.
Whatever.
Saban's like, you know what?
He resigned. Come on.
He's like,
I thought they actually fired him.
He's like, hey, you got some signs from Michigan?
Exactly.
As we come up to the game.
Anyway, on to our guys.
He probably is disgruntled, and he's going to give away everything he possibly can.
That'd be so good.
He just did what he was told.
All he has to do is call up his boy.
Yeah. Hey, Nick wants to talk to you. Let's get it done. No, we took 27 guys today, 26 high school kids, and 1 transfer. The transfer, I think, is an interesting one, and he wasn't highly sought after,
but he's big.
He's
really
huge for a corner.
Height-wise.
Yes.
Everything else he's not.
But that's something that
He's
RHULE
6'3"
brought up
and
in
only
one of
160 pounds.
Yeah. No, but both RHULE and Evan Cooper both brought up at different times in the last couple of weeks how they were getting a little thin at defensive back and how they were really trying to size up on some guys.
Yeah.
They want to match what's going on right now in the NFL, which is bigger corners than what we're used to seeing. The what's his name? Who was the like total midget corner that we used to have way back in like Terrell Newby or something like that?
The Grigsbys were really
Grigsbys. That's who I'm thinking of. They used to jump on top of people in the huddles. Yeah, that's the days of those like 5'8" speedster little guys. Like those are gone.
They were good players, but
they were.
Really
but you've got to be able to cover wide receivers that are now 6'3", 6'4", running 440.
Yeah.
We just need bigger, taller, longer athletes out there, and they addressed a lot of that in this class. I mean, we took 7 DBs in this class, and I think only 2 of them are under 6 foot. We got a couple athletes that are coming in, like they played corner in high school, but they're 6'4" and 6'1". So I mean, you've got dudes that maybe they won't all stick as DBs, maybe they won't all play on the back end there, but a couple of them, it looks kind of like maybe you could see like McGahee. It looks like actually Rivals has him listed as a linebacker here, even though on 3 he's listed as a DB. So there's some different things. There's some different movement, some weight that's going to be packed on some of these guys. But you could see the general theme throughout this entire class is they're just going for those athletic bodies still. Mm-hmm. There's some of those super highly rated guys that are out there. There were a couple different 5-star wide receivers that I'm looking at. I'm like, those guys don't even fit the mold of somebody that would come into Nebraska because they're not fast enough.
Yeah,
like their 40 times are slower, or they're not the super athletic build. Like they want the freak athlete that they can teach how to run routes and do stuff. They don't want the guy who's really good at running routes and a polished, ball handler who is slow and.
Yeah, RHULE talks all the time about building players. Why not go for the best possible raw talent and then make them into what you want? Yeah.
Of the 20-something guys that we signed, 4 of them were listed as athletes. So basically, and I mean, hell, he talked about it today, and we've talked about it all season, how we always want to be a positionless defense. He actually brought up that they want to be a positionless offense too.
Yeah.
So again, this is just bringing in guys and molding them the way that they want to be.
He specifically talked about Carter Nelson as being a positionless player. And that even Ed Foley's talked about, like, well, man, if we're having struggles in the punt game, we're going to go get him.
Well, we probably won't have much struggle in the punt game considering the punter we signed and his dad. But
I looked into Carter Nelson's, like, just his high school in general. Yeah. He was playing 8-man football.
Whatever.
So there's a lot of difference to his game. But that dude averaged 45.7 yards per punt in his senior year. He was their punter too. That would be good enough to be 15th in the country as a punter in college last year. That's when we talked about that. We actually talked a little bit about punt averages and things like that in one of our shows early in the year, and we talked about there's not a huge difference between 38 and 42 or whatever I think it was we were talking about at the time. It's like when you actually look at
huge difference.
Yeah, you actually look at it. That's a big fucking difference on whether or not a kicker's good.
Yes,
it's consistency, and like Buschini, I thought regressed this last year. It was weird to see because I thought he was like all conference style, headed towards that at least 2 years ago, and then this year was like, man, what is this? Every third punt gets shanked off the side of your foot and is going 20 yards.
Yep.
Or you've got ones that are going straight up in the air and hang up there for 15 minutes and come back down 5 yards in front of you.
Yep.
Doesn't make much sense. But breaking down this class and looking at it, what we actually took. I mean, obviously the big talk was Dylan Raiola. We took the 2 quarterbacks, him and Danny Kalen out of Bellevue. We took 4 wide receivers, 2 of them being out of Nebraska. We had 8 total guys come out of Nebraska for the second year in a row. It was something RHULE specifically brought up again today, that he was really proud of that fact. He also talked in one of the interviews he did today about how he's really excited about the direction of high school football in the state of Nebraska. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's getting a lot more competitive just in the 1 year back-to-back that they've seen.
He brought up some of the other guys that got drafted out of and got recruited and signed to other big-time schools too. Mm-hmm. So, it wasn't just the 8 or whatever else.
It goes to show that there's talent here in state. We weren't looking at it before.
No.
We weren't looking at it before. But we took 4 wide receivers. I'm super, super excited about that Ja'Cory Barney. I think he's going to be a stud. I also think Davon Hall could be a stud. He's got more size. Same with Quinn Clark. He's got the size. He's got that 6'5", 190. I mean, you put 30, 35, 40 pounds on that kid, he could be a tight end. But he's more built like that. Quinn Clark is built kind of like Malachi Coleman.
And he's a legacy kid.
Yeah.
None of you guys know who his dad is, but I do.
Well, no, I mean, I know who his dad is just because I looked it up and I read about him. But tight end wise, I was surprised to see us take 4 tight ends. I realized 2 of them were walk-ons, but 4 tight ends in this class was kind of.
Well, and again, one of them is an athlete. Are you talking about that Papillion kid? Is one of them? He's listed as an athlete on this.
Ingerson?
Yeah. So who knows what,
6'7", 225.
Well, yeah. And we let one of our tight ends play quarterback last year for 6 games, so you never know what his plan is.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Offensive line, I love the fact that we took 5 offensive linemen. I wish we would have gotten another tackle, but with the guys that we took, I mean, we got some dudes.
I love the size of them.
But we got some dudes.
That dude from Hawaii that's 6'4", 315. Like
Tama,
thank you,
or Taumua.
Yeah,
however you pronounce his name, Preston Taumua.
He's gonna get bigger too. That's the thing.
That dude and from what I understand, he's 6'4", 317. On his high school team, he played center and guard. Like he was listed as an interior offensive lineman, playing center and guard at fucking 317. That's a big motherfucker.
That's fine.
That's awesome.
Make him the smallest lineman on the team. That's
if
fine.
you like big motherfuckers, hit the like button and subscribe for us right now. couple of them sitting right
here.
Yeah.
See coming today.
Nope.
But for real, like and subscribe, please. We love doing these shows. We need to get our subscribe numbers up. We need help sharing that stuff. But 2 linebackers I thought was light. No running back. Ultra concerning and light.
Ultra light on that one.
I feel like there's some guys in here that we might see move to linebacker that they intend to, but I really expected we would see maybe 3 or 4 linebackers, and probably like my ideal number was at least 2 running backs, either transfer or signs. I just don't get it.
I don't know if I really put a number on how many running backs would be beneficial, because we do have a good size room right now with the running backs. Obviously the concern is staying healthy. I wanted at least one. Like, just even if it's just another body to develop. Like, that was a big eye opener for me that there was not one. Now, hopefully, maybe one comes in the portal. We'll see. But
aren't most of the decent running backs in the portal, at least the ones that we already know that have been in the portal, aren't most of them gone?
The top one's still available. Etienne from Florida. Travis Etienne's brother.
He didn't sign with Georgia?
No. Well, not according to right now, looking at the list. No, it's still a question mark right now.
After what they got today, maybe he won't go to Georgia. Who knows? I thought he was already done and gone to Georgia.
Nope.
I mean, we have a lot of dudes in our running back room.
We do. No, the room is full, but again, trusting that those guys are not, going to get injured is a risky proposition. And having an extra guy there would have been very beneficial. But,
Yep.
Well, we got 4 tight ends. Maybe we'll use them there.
Or maybe the guy that started everywhere. 6 games at quarterback can move to a running back or, whatever.
He'd be a big running back.
I know.
Great.
You know what, though? You can run some fun sets with a big running back like that.
Yeah, we get some plays from the Titans.
Yeah, there you go.
You can throw the ball about as well as Derrick Henry.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting to see us sign the kicker, but he's the legacy punter you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
That
Sam Cook's son. A guy that created punts, like different styles of punts and all that shit in the NFL. Like, that's a good dad teacher to have.
Is he the one that got in a little bit of trouble and kind of ended his career? He was with the Jets?
No, he was with the Ravens his entire career.
Who am I thinking of that did that?
How do you get in a little bit of trouble as a punter?
Like beat up his wife or something shit like that.
Oh, that'll do it.
That's definitely not Sam Cook.
Who was it? It was one of our legacy.
So, Sam, if you're watching, guys, that is not you.
Sorry, Sam.
Nope.
My bad. I don't remember who it is. It was a Nebraska kicker or punter. It was playing for the Jets, I believe, when he kind of got run out of the NFL.
I don't feel like going on a witch hunt to figure it out.
Nope.
So,
whatever. The DBs that we brought in, the Larry Tarver, I thought that was a huge one. We ended up losing a guy. I don't remember who it was, but one of our lower rated recruits ended up flipping because we flipped Tarver from Miami. That was a big get, and that kind of happened last minute. It sounded like it happened on Tuesday. Really, really big get there. I'm super excited to see what Caleb Benning does coming in.
Mm-hmm.
He had a phenomenal senior year. I think he got actually named Nebraska Football Player of the Year. He had a monster, but he played both sides of the ball. I don't think he's going to get any looks on the offensive side, but he'd be a guy that wouldn't be that shocking to see line up at running back for us next year.
If we absolutely needed him, maybe. He's still a little small.
Yeah, he's small, but the dude plays bigger than he looks. Bigger than he's listed.
I think with you kind of mentioned it at the very beginning about how we're getting a little thin at the defensive back position. I think that they'd probably want to try to keep him there. I know that they moved Jeremiah Charles over there. RHULE just randomly brought him up, saying he thinks he's going to be one of the better ones that they have.
That's right. That's what I said. He shouted him out, and he hardly played this last year.
Yeah. And so I think with the guys that we lost going pro, the defensive back room did get a little shallow. So I don't know, who knows as far as where I do like the number of defensive backs that we brought in to be able to fill that room back up again, though.
It's going to be super cool to see Mario Buford come in, especially if he gets a chance to play with Marquise this year. Like, that'd be fun. And obviously he's going to get to learn from a dude who's pretty darn good at the position.
Yep.
They said that this is actually be the first, even though they went to the same high school, this would actually be the first time he's gotten to play on the same team with his brother. That's kind of cool.
And I was talking to one of my friends about the Buford stuff today, about how it's cool to have maybe a brother on the team and to be able to say, yes, you should come here because these guys do this good and all this other stuff. It's even more the fact that Marquise Buford came here under a different coach.
Yeah.
And the coaching, the situation was what the situation was, changed coaching hands, and still Marquise Buford's like, yeah, I might have came here from a different coach and I loved the reason why I came here, but now, little brother, who you're going to protect and all that stuff as the big brother, this is a place that you want to be.
This is where you want to be now.
And because of the guys that are here, they might not have recruited me, but these are the guys that I want to play for. That's why I'm coming back, and that's why I want my little brother here.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a big statement for just recruiting in general, that big brother that was recruited from a different coaching staff is telling little brother to come up here with that coaching staff.
And they think that Mario actually might be the more talented of the two of them. And they've got another brother who mom dropped today when Mario officially signed that she can't wait for her third son to come to Nebraska.
Okay.
So not only does Marquise love it here, but the family loves what they see at Nebraska and the coaching staff. And that's, like you said, that's huge.
Yeah.
I wish it would have played out with another brother that we were talking about. If Prince Will's brother would have come up here, that would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Prince Lee decided to go to
Ole Miss.
Just absolute wave makers down in Ole Miss. Dude, man, Lane Kiffin has put together a hell of a class.
He's a recruiter.
Yep.
He's a recruiter. We'll see if
I don't know how great of a head coach he is, but he's a great recruiter.
I don't know, man. He's got some good wins since he got to Ole Miss. I think he finally
I'm not trashing him. I'm just talking about.
Well, you could trash him prior to this.
I'm talking level of talent and records that he keeps putting out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily equates, but
be tough to have to play Alabama and Georgia every year.
Yeah. You know, I think another one of the big things that I noticed in this recruiting class is we got the number one player out of 5 different states. Now, are all 5 of those states giant recruiting hotbeds of talent? No.
Georgia is.
Yeah. But I said all of them.
Took the number one player out of Georgia. That's pretty fucking big.
I said all of them. But
no, I know.
The fact that, you know, Nebraska, who everybody says, why the hell would anybody want to come to the state, you know, middle of the country, do nothing, blah, 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 whatever. You get the number one player out of 10% of the country? You know, that says something. That's pretty damn good. Yeah. Like, you can literally go all over the country. You went almost as far as you could possibly go to Hawaii and got the number one player out of there. So it's like, I thought that was pretty impressive by the staff in general.
I absolutely agree with you. And you know, it says a lot that you've got an Iowa kid, the number one player in Iowa, who's an offensive lineman, by the way, who didn't go to Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa's been very well known for putting offensive linemen in the NFL for the last decade and a half, 2 decades. Nebraska has not.
Nope.
And he saw.
Well, maybe he didn't want to be there for a coaching change.
Yeah, I don't think you make that type of a decision. Like, there's no writing on the wall that says Ferentz isn't going to be there for the next 4 years.
I mean, he's under contract.
He's under contract for the rest of his life.
He seemed like he was leaving this year.
Yeah, cried a lot.
Love that.
But regardless, maybe he couldn't see past the semi. I'm not sure. But
yeah,
you know, all signs indicated that he was headed to Oklahoma, and I don't know what's gone on in Oklahoma. I don't know if maybe they were looking at losing a coach or turning something over, but they lost they lost all 5 of their starting offensive linemen in the transfer portal. Maybe that was a sign that they needed more offensive linemen. I'm not sure, but he was all crystal balls pointed. Grant Bricks was headed to Oklahoma, and he flipped to Nebraska after a grand gesture where Matt Rhule was basically in the Breakfast Club standing outside of his house with a fucking boombox on top of his head, but instead of a boombox...
That's not Breakfast Club. That's Say Anything.
Say Anything. I'm sorry. Talking about a movie from when I was like 5 years old anyway. But instead of a boombox, it was a fucking semi, and he parked it right in front of his high school.
Yeah.
And said, please come to the game this weekend. And he did, and it sold him, man. Grand gestures. Matt Rhule and the grand gesture. Are there any other guys you guys wanted to point out on here? I mean, Willis McGahee, everybody probably recognizes that name. He is a legacy at Miami. Mm-hmm. I thought that was interesting that Miami, who needs linebackers, who needs DBs, didn't get him in, and we got him in the door. That was kind of telling.
Yeah, that was weird.
Especially when Miami's put together a good class, too. But yeah, he was an early signing guy. Like we got him committed back in I think it was back in April. But the Vincent Shavers flip from Miami, that was another big one. There's not been enough talked about, I don't think. I know that you haven't been sold on him at all. But I like Danny Keelan. I like what we saw when he was in the Elite 11 stuff. I watched a lot of his film. You watch a lot of his stuff. I feel like what happened at Bellevue this year, he didn't have a lot of help around him, and they didn't play very well. I don't know. I don't think he's not as polished of a player coming out of high school as what Dylan Raiola is, but I truly think he has a real shot at being a backup right out of the gate, just because they're such similar style players when it comes to their passing ability.
I don't, but we'll find out.
Why do you say that, though?
Because literally everybody says that he's going to redshirt this year, and he's not ready.
I think
everybody says that he's not ready.
I think he'll redshirt for sure, but
that's why I keep saying he's not ready for college football right now.
So you don't have anything that you've seen. It's just that's what you heard.
Well, I mean, I'm not a scout that can watch film and like digest it in that way to really say one way or the other. So I can only go off of what the experts that know much better than I do.
That's fair. I'm not saying he's going to come in and be the full-time like backup and play in every game. I don't think they'll let him play in more than 4 games. I think he'll definitely redshirt. But I could see him getting in there in garbage time in 4 games to try and get some experience on the field. I don't know. I see it a hell of a lot more than I see us putting Heinrich Haarberg back in there.
I don't. I think considering the room that we have now at quarterback, it's got to be Haarberg as the backup, and then you go from there because it's a very shallow room now with Chubba Purdy leaving. But
there's always a chance Chubba doesn't leave. He can still come back out of the portal.
We can only go off of what the information that we have right now that he's leaving. I mean, it's.
Don't you think? Do you think we will go find another transfer quarterback to?
Who's going to come in though? That's the thing.
Well, I mean, anybody can still enter the portal, right? The portal's still open until is it the 30th?
There's like 10 more days left of the portal. I think it's like January 2nd or something.
Okay, and that's just for them to enter. They can still sign after that, right?
Yes.
So it's I don't know, man. Maybe after signing day shakes out, we're going to see some more guys enter the portal, like what we saw with Chubba Purdy tonight. There might be a viable backup quarterback out there that's.
Well, it might also be after spring because a lot of people are going to enter the portal after spring too.
I'm sure. That's the one thing that I'm super excited about. A lot of our higher end recruits in this class, they're all early enrollees. Like Dylan Raiola is going to be here in 2 weeks. Grant Bricks is going to be here in 2 weeks. Carter Nelson is going to be here in 2 weeks. Like these goods, I think Talamoa is coming early, but I can't remember. I don't remember if I heard that earlier.
That was one thing I didn't look into.
Mario Buford's going to be in here in 2 weeks. Like a lot of these higher end dudes, they're going to get all of spring. They're going to spend a lot of time putting this offense in. It's the offensive side of the ball. I think is where we're going to see the most impact based on the things that happened this offseason, and I'm excited about it.
I think overall with this class, I think outside of obviously the running back situation as far as not getting a running back, which again isn't the complete end of the world because we like the running back room in general, but health-wise we've had problems with that with the running back room. So it's not necessarily the end of the world that we didn't get a running back. It's just I kind of would have liked to seen one. I think we filled in a lot of holes that we needed as far as last year we were worried about the depth at our offensive line. I believe that we filled that with this class.
Absolutely.
Same thing with we already talked about it with the defensive backs. The defensive back room was getting a little thin with the guys that left to go pro.
And it seemed like they pushed a couple guys out too. The first guys in the transfer portal were DBs.
Well, we only lost like 4 guys in the transfer portal. So, I mean, that's the one thing. Like, we kind of need more guys to enter the portal. Like,
I think we'll still see some of that.
Oh yeah, of course we will.
But I mean, we lost. I mean, when you look at it, we lost 2 guys. I guess two cornerbacks, Javier Morton. And Taman Lynham. Lynham wound up at Pitt.
Yeah, but we filled up that room that got a little shallow in the defensive back room. So realistically, to me, it's a success because that's the whole point is to fill up the spots that you're getting thin at.
Yep. They clearly knew what they wanted, knew what they needed, and went out and got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel very good about this class. I thought that it all came together very, very nicely. The other thing that I'll say about it is I want to know what you guys think as far as just looking it down. take the quarterbacks out of the picture, who are you most excited about in this class?
It's kind of funny. You know, we asked that question sometime last year during the offseason as far as like, who's the freshman that you think needs to hit the most in year one?
Oh, yeah.
And I brought up Tristan Alvano because we need points.
I'm not talking about has to hit in
No.
year one.
I know.
Yeah, not the same question.
It's the same type of question as far as, but I'm going to go with the kicker again and say, go Sam Cook's kid. Just because we had a lot of issues in the punting game. We had a lot of issues in the punting game this last year, and if you're the kid of, one of the best kickers during a 16-year span of the NFL, who probably wasn't
one of the best college punters of all time.
Yeah, and holds just about every record at Nebraska as far as a punting stat goes. Like, the only reason he wasn't the best punter in the NFL every year was because Shane Leckler was also in the NFL at the same time. So it's like...
Jed's out here dropping knowledge bombs about punting.
You have a...
He watched all his documentaries this year. So.
No, that was field goal kicking, that one.
Oh, so you didn't perceive
get back into that, man. Come on.
But if you have a legacy kid like that has such a legendary dad and in a position that we desperately needed an improvement on, I'll go with him.
Fair enough. Matt?
I'm a big offensive line guy, so I got to go Grant Bricks on this one. I think he's going to come in and be immediately impactful. So,
my
other one would be Quinn Clark, the wide receiver. But
I lean towards the Grant Bricks one big time. But I think he is a dude from what I understand, knowledge wise, like he's a super heady player. Like he's gonna be somebody that is gonna pick up on things really quickly. I don't know if he's going to be playing. Like I think he's definitely a redshirt guy, just because it's gonna take him time to get used to playing with other dudes that are the same size as him. He was a monster playing in a very small pond where he was. Another dude that we got that's not nearly as highly rated, but was a monster playing at one of the best Texas high school football schools in the country, not just Texas, but in the country, period, Gibson Pyle. He's one of our lower rated guys, but that dude has been like bleed red, nerd out, go big red, Husker, absolutely sold since like April. He is all about Nebraska. He's all like, you talk to him and he's like, I play football at Nebraska, yeah! It's like the best, the most football thing you see out of a fucking guy who's 18 years old. He's not huge by any means. He looks bigger when you look at him just walking around, but I'm excited about him. I think he's a dude that could get in there and, if need be, could spot fill at times in his first year.
I think most of the guys, and spot fill, and you got the 4 games. I think most of the guys are going to be redshirt. The offensive linemen specifically are going to be redshirting. And I only say that because, number one, most of our starting offensive linemen are coming back. Yeah. Ethan Piper, he mentioned, is still up in the air. RHULE did, which was kind of weird because he was saying how he's either going to play for us or he's going to coach for us as an analyst, as a helper on the offensive line. So it's like, okay.
Interesting.
But that knee injury is a really hard thing to come back from.
I know.
But you've coupled that with the fact that he probably wasn't the best left guard that we had on the roster last year.
But let's just say he comes back. That's 5 guys that are going to be starting on the offensive line that have major starting experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be very hard for a freshman to come in here and overtake any of those guys, or at least, even spell a lot of those guys.
They'd have to be absolute monsters.
But also RHULE has said that it's going to be he likes linemen to come in here in redshirt to build their body.
Yeah.
To be able to come in here and start
our weight training
to play consistently as a freshman is very hard.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying that they're going to be immediately impactful.
Yeah,
I'm saying that the moves that we made for offensive line, specifically Grant Bricks, I think down the line those are going to show massive dividends.
100%. I mean, you brought it up how we brought in 5 or 6 offensive linemen for this class.
Oh.
Like I said, that room was thin on talent. And we brought in not just bodies, but talented bodies to fill up that thin
Quite
room.
a few of them.
Yes.
Another guy that I'm super excited about on the line that was kind of a late add to this class is that Raiola. He's going to be awesome. Plays like a dog. That's what I understand anyway. It's going to be fun to see how these guys all shake out. 8, I think they said, legacy players in this class.
It was 7, 8, or 9. I
Something like
remember,
that.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is they're legacy players from super dominant times in Nebraska football. They come from families that when you bring back, I'm getting stupid goosebumps talking about it, but when you bring back, RHULE brought it up in his press conference today. He goes, does 94 and 95 happen without 91 and 92? Does 97 happen without 96? He was talking about, you don't always, he was referencing what happened with Nebraska volleyball this year and how amazing their run was, but then they didn't get the job done at the end. And how that can be a building block and how those things lead to bigger and better things and, the confidence that the girls have and all that different stuff. It was interesting to hear him say those things, and then he kind of tied it into talking about all the legacy players we have in this class. And those guys all come from dudes that were here when Nebraska was the place to be, when Nebraska was the dominant force in college football. Who better to bring it back than their kids that probably grew up watching film of their dads and know what it is to work hard and know all those things that it took to get them there. They know the dirty little secrets. They understand what it means to put Nebraska back on the map. I think that's cool as shit.
I loved what he said about when they offered that Quinn Clark kid the scholarship after a camp, and Ken Clark, his dad, has since passed away. But they found, the way to honor his dad. They brought his mom in, and they basically they wanted to do it on the field that his dad played on. So they were on the field when they offered him the scholarship.
That's cool.
Back in the day. So it's just, even if the dad isn't here, they're still incorporating these legacy players.
Oh yeah, it's very cool. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on with it. RHULE wins again in my book.
Every time he talks, I get hard.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.